Hello, Justin Cox, founder of couriersdepot.com. Well, we are delighted to be here chatting with Keith Lewin, the founder of PostTag here at Club 8 in Moorgate. So Keith, lovely to see you today.
Good to see you as well.
Very excited to have the partnership with PostTag and the revolutionary work it does in the delivery industry, working both courier and haulage and in between. It's great to see you today. It's always good to have a story, the background to how something started. So basically, what inspired you to create PostTag and how does it address the common pain points faced by last mile delivery companies?
Good question. I think to really address the pain points, you need to experience the pain points. And I did that firsthand. So my background is advertising. I was a creative director of multinational American ad agencies working around the world. And I've been away from the UK for 17 years. And a lot of that time was spent in Germany and New Zealand and Australia. And it got to the point where it was time to bring my children home to the UK. I wanted them to feel European again, and also advertising was killing me. And my wife was looking at me as if she was an advertising widow most of the time. And so I decided to get my life back and move back to the UK. And that was quite a big adventure because we were moving from Australia back to the UK. And it's quite a lot when you're packing up your worldly belongings. Everything you own ends up in a shipping container. So we set sail, and I made it, my wife made it, the kids made it, the two dogs made it, but the furniture didn't make it. So to this day, there's a 40-foot high top container bobbing just below the surface of an ocean somewhere, waiting for a Russian oligarch ship yacht to plough into it, which incidentally is the biggest fear of round the world yachtsmen. It's not hitting a whale, it's hitting a submerged container. And you can imagine I had to buy everything from scratch because we moved into the home back in England, all really looking forward to it. And I couldn't even say to the wife, sit down, honey, I've got some bad news for you. I'll make a cup of tea, because it's called, well, sit where? And how are you going to make the tea? Do I drink it out of my hands?
Wow. Because
everything was lost. Crockery, cutlery, furniture, beds, linen, clothes, you name it, and all of our sentimental belongings. So we became a very, very big customer in a very short space of time of Amazon, John Lewis, House of Fraser when it existed, Benson's Beds, Oakland Furniture, all the big furniture shops, all the big suppliers. So I was getting, I would say, anything between 12 and 20 deliveries a day. And the one thing all these delivery drivers had in common was their need to phone me on my mobile to say, I'm lost, can you tell me where you are? And since that day, I've spoken to thousands and thousands, interrogated thousands and thousands of delivery drivers and couriers about the inaccuracy of addressing, about this thing that I loosely term as location approximation. Because the fact is that the postcode system was devised over 60 years ago for the humble postman. It's perfect for him, it just doesn't work for parcel. It doesn't. Because the average home is an average of 145 metres away from where the mapping systems say you have arrived at your destination. And in fact, the most hated words, you talk to a delivery driver and you say to him, you've arrived at your destination, and stand back because he'll want to hit you. They hear that so many times a day, and it's called where? Where? You've arrived at your destination, where? Let me tell you, in darkness, and in the UK, we're gifted with 4 or 5 months of the year where it gets dark at 4 in the afternoon. And guess what? A lot of grocery deliveries, takeaway food deliveries, and parcels happen after 4 o'clock. And that 145 metres suddenly is a lot further away in the darkness.
Yeah, and having worked as a courier myself, which with the origination of the business, I can identify it clearly with you.
Absolutely.
Darkness, where is that door?
Yeah, and guess what? Nobody, or very few people, have their house name or number illuminated. In the dark, all you can see is a silhouette of roofs. It's horrendous. And on new build housing estates, it's even worse, because you can see a Domino's driver going round and round and round the block, because on his sat-nav, that new build housing estate doesn't even exist. It's just a big white space with a red dot in the middle of it. So good luck. So that's why PostTag now exists, because being a strategist of old, I thought, I've got to solve this problem. This problem is too big to allow these drivers to get so stressed, and the amount of time wasted, the amount of missed and late deliveries is unforgivable. So I set about solving the problem. And here we are today with PostTag.
You are the delivery driver's saviour, Keith.
Well, I like to think that we're helping them a lot. And but PostTag, when PostTag first started, it was very much like a couple of systems you see today, where we were relying on the customer when they go online to then, a map pops up. Just say you're shopping online at John Lewis, a map pops up and says, would you like to help our driver to find you? And of course, most John Lewis customers would say yes. A lot of other customers would say, no, forget it. And we would ask the customer to drag a pin to their location. So the map would come up and say, this is where the postcode is telling us you are. Now drag the pin to where you really are. And it would create. So you drag the pin to where you really are, and it would create an alphanumeric code, a very simple alphanumeric code. And we tested it, and it just didn't work because it's a friction point. Mm-hmm. People don't want to be distracted. So we thought, well, there's no way around this, so we'll simplify it. And we created a thing called just 3 numbers. And that didn't work either. And what it was tagging 3 numbers on the end of your postcode, hence PostTag. That's where it started. And we walked away from that because that didn't work. It was still a friction point. So we've now created a system that is completely frictionless. It works behind the scenes. Nobody needs to do anything, no extra keystrokes. It just works. And it works in nanoseconds.
So Keith, thanks for that. Fascinating answer. What a story. Just moving on, can you elaborate on how PostTag's destination data engine ensures precise location accuracy and what impact this has on reducing delivery miles and emissions, which is very much at the forefront of people's thoughts right now?
Yeah, that's a very good question yet again. We call it our destination data engine. Let me just explain what that is.
Sure.
Because it sounds like techno garbage, and it's one of those trademark things that lawyers love you to have. What the destination data engine is, let me explain what happens. Just say you are ordering a Domino's pizza. When you go onto the app or online, as soon as you place that order with Domino's, their server puts an API call through to our server.
Right.
And we open a channel saying address coming in.
Okay.
We then take that address. As you start typing it, ordering your pizza, we receive it and we run it through multiple data sources. That's the thing that sets us apart. The destination data engine is basically a very complex, hundreds of thousands of lines of code. It's a very complex algorithm that uses multiple data sources. I'm not going to name them because that's our secret source.
Cool.
And we then interrogate that address, and the more and more you cross-layer it, the more accurate it becomes. And we ping back to the Domino's server the precise location. It's absolutely precise. And that takes 42 milliseconds. Just 42 milliseconds. That's the thing that sets us apart. And the other thing is that in using these databases, we're utilizing machine learning to build our own proprietary data set, which is probably, and this is a proud boast, is probably the most sophisticated, complex address data set in the world.
Right. I mean, a lot of questions I get asked when I speak to customers, etc., about your product, they'll say, isn't that like, what, 3 words?
Yeah.
And you must get that a lot. I mean, you must be well versed in that response. But let our viewers hear what
I get that question an awful lot. And can I just say, first up, I like what 3 words. It's a great idea. It's a brilliant idea in its lane. So if you're in a festival or you're in the middle of nowhere, then creating a what 3 words is perfect. That's the user case for it. But for parcels, no, I'm not going to tell you what my 3 words are because I'd get into trouble. But most couriers and drivers just don't have the time for this, and most consumers don't actually remember their 3 words. The other thing is that the penetration of people in the UK, I'm looking at the UK only at the moment, the household penetration of what 3 words is negligible. 95% plus people don't have it, whereas we've got 100% coverage of all of the homes in the UK.
Gotcha.
It's a lot of extra friction points to introduce. The other thing is that, I'd hate to be in charge of a company that has to constantly stimulate people to use it, to use the 3 words, remind people to use the 3 words, because people forget them. With PostTag, there's nothing to remember.
Sure,
you don't need to do anything.
With what 3 words, that's, you think of emergency services, etc., because that's a one-time password thing, isn't it? It's like, okay, we need that now, whereas PostTag is being formulated for multiple deliveries, multiple times during the day.
Yes. And with emergency services, once again, I would be reluctant to risk my life on getting 3 words correct. We've got people testing. We've got emergency services around the country testing us at the moment, and that's going very, very well.
Brilliant. That's
because it's behind the scenes.
News to hear.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything. It just happens.
Fantastic. That's really, really great to hear. And also, I found it intriguing what you were saying earlier on about, the postal service system was designed for the postie.
The humble postman.
I mean,
walking around the streets, and it works for him. If you look at Royal Mail, for instance, Royal Mail, they're brilliant at letter deliveries, but they're not so good at parcel deliveries, and it's something they're turning their guns on at the moment. Even if you look at the US Postal Service, delivering mail, forget the eastern and western seaboards, but delivering mail in Central America is easy for delivering mail, because you've got a string of mailboxes. You just put number 12, number 14, number 15. Whereas if you've got a parcel, chances are you can't see that property from where that mailbox is. And you are not going to find it on a map.
Yeah. And their numbers are in 4 figures.
Absolutely. So we've got North America in our sights.
Fantastic. What are the plans for PostTag's future development, and how do you see the company evolving to meet the changing needs of the last mile delivery industry?
The last mile is not getting any easier. When you talk to drivers, and I can't emphasize this enough, you've got to talk to your drivers. I'm quite often in a conference room with a potential customer, and I will tell them about the problems that their drivers experience, and they say, how come we don't know about this? Really? And it's called talk to your drivers. Just talk to your drivers. They are your shop window, they're your coalface. Talk to them. Just to give you an example, with our biggest customer, we saved them last year 64.6 million miles in the UK alone that they didn't have to drive.
Staggering. Simply
by getting them to the right front door first time, without them wasting 145 metres per delivery on average error rate.
Wow.
That's a lot of CO2 savings. That's a lot of petrol savings. That's a lot of time. It means your drivers can get back to the depot earlier or deliver more, whatever way you want to carve that one up.
Yeah. And they'll be happy because they're earning more money.
Exactly. So the last mile problems are not getting any easier, except with the take-up of PostTag.
Exactly.
That does make it easier.
I can see.
So the future for us is, I'm focused at the moment on increasing our penetration in the UK, and we're doing this through partnership arrangements. And I also am very, very keen to take PostTag overseas, and I'm looking at North America first. Southeast Asia is calling, but that's a bigger task. And also the launch of our app. So our app, we've now got 20,000 heavy users of our app, and that's only in 8 weeks with no advertising. That's purely word of mouth. So we're looking at premiumizing the app, adding more features into it, and supporting it with some advertising. The app will enable us. The PostTag Address Finder app will enable us to put all the benefits of PostTag into the hands of every driver in the country.
Wow. Just brilliant. Lovely talking to you. Some exciting stuff going on in the future by the looks of it.
Scary stuff.
And it's a totally transferable product. It's not like they won't see this market and won't see that market.
No, it's the algorithm is designed to take multiple data sets, regardless of language.
Gotcha. Brilliant. Well, exciting times ahead, and thank you so very, very much.
It was my pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Good to see you all.
Thanks, Keith.